Hello, today I'll be demonstrating the full process of the academic integrity verification Viva inside Moodle. So basically this mode creates a single post-submission academic misconduct Viva for one student when there's suspicion of AI use or uncertainty about whether their submission was genuinely their own and followed perhaps the AI usage policy of that department. Just real quick, I'll be using Moodle, open source locally, but this will look the exact same or quite similar on Blackboard, Canvas, and other LMSs. So yeah, let's begin. I'll be showing both the teacher's and the student's perspective in this video, and let's get started. So let's say I'm a TA in the business school grading formative assignments for a first year module. Here's a good example assignment to click. Let's view all submissions, and let's choose this one here. So this assignment essentially requires students to include 2 or 3 charts or graphs along with their written analysis. So I've got some of the submissions here. So this is one by this student here. I'm not here to explain how to detect AI, but it's clear just from this assignment alone that the language is formal and generic. It lacks any meaningful substance, and there's definitely some suspicious things about this. And the bottom line is, I have my doubts, and I need some additional verification that this student truly understands the work that they submitted. So as a busy professional, instead of emailing the student to come defend their work in person, I'm going to assign them an online Q&A verification Viva. So this is a singular Viva, it's faster, it saves time, and it's a scalable academic misconduct tool. So I can use this little plugin here. I can either quick flag this for later, or I can configure one and send now. So let's do that now. Okay, so here we have the Viva verification creation screen. On the right-hand side, we have the submission that we just looked at, fetched from Moodle. And on the right-hand side, we have the Viva configuration. So this is the due date. Let's choose next Monday. The preparation time, this is essentially how much time they have once they see the question before they have to start recording their answer to the question, which they then have 120 seconds to do so. So, now what should we ask them? To get started, let's look at the recommended questions. This one's a good opener here, walking me through your main argument or findings in their own words. This is something that AI users particularly struggle with, as it's not as authentic as if they had done it themselves. And this also gives us some very good inspiration as to which type of questions are best for this new assessment method. So next, I'm a bit curious as to this figure here, figure 2. I think I'm going to ask them a question on that, particularly on how they made it. So I'm just going to ask, can you talk me through your process for creating figure 2? What tools did you use to create this? Perfect. And actually, I'm just going to go back and edit it. So to give them reference of the figure that they originally submitted, I'll add this image attached to this question as well. And I can also upload images from my own computer or the LMS too. All right, so next, while VivaEdu is a very simple piece of software that's very easy to learn and does not take hours upon hours of learning and configuration, you have a lot of freedom as to how advanced you want to make these Vivas. And so an advanced feature that you can use are these adaptive follow-up branches. So essentially, this basically provides a different branch question depending on their previous response to the previous question. So for example, we can say, if the students mention specific tools like Excel, Python, or Matplotlib, then we can ask them this question: what made you choose those tools rather than another one? And then this is kind of like the if-else part. If the answer is vague, could you just describe what the data looked like before you turned into the graph? All right, perfect. You can add more branches, but we'll just stick with 2 for now. Cool. So while this software can be used flexibly, VivaEdu also works best as a professional verification tool. It's not a stressful interrogation for the student, and we've really designed it in a way so that it doesn't come across that way, and that it really replicates the real Q&A experience while keeping it asynchronous to reduce student stress. And we can reduce student stress even further by using the video recording feature, which basically makes a video of me, the instructor, speaking directly to the student. So let's do that now. All right. Hi, Jax. Hope you're well. Thank you for the submission. So I just wanted to ask really quick, looking back on this assignment, is there anything you'd approach differently, perhaps, if you were doing it again? Thank you. All right. Hi, Jax. Hope you're well. Thank you for the submission. Perfect. That sounds good. We can save that now. And so before sending it out, I'm just going to add a context card. We can quickly add their submission so that they can see it for reference. And context cards are basically just a post-it note so that they can read during their Viva. And real quickly as well, I'm just going to go over a few more settings. We can turn on AI feedback, that is defaultly off. Tab switch tracking, re-recording, pausing and resume. A few other things as well that I just want to go over quickly. This is the accessibility and accommodations. And then this is the language settings too. All right, I feel this is good. Let's send it off. Perfect. All right, so now let's log out of the teacher account. And now let's look at what it looks like from the student side. So I'm just going to switch to Chrome. And here I'm going to log in to my student account. Okay, so this is what the student's account looks like on the Moodle side. So this is their dashboard. It looks very similar to Blackboard and Canvas as well. So here you can see that it's been created, this Viva verification has been created as a new external LTI linked assignment for this student. And it's important to note that this is only visible to Jex. No other student sees this. And they also see a message as well here from the admin. And it's also present on the calendar below. So let's try it. All right, so this is what VivaEdu looks like on the student side. If you've tried the private demo from the landing page, this is quite similar. So before we get into the Viva, let's just take a little look around. This is the classes. These are their settings and preferences. As mentioned, we've tried to make this as warm of an experience possible for students, not a stressful interrogation, so they have a lot of flexibility to ensure that they have the best experience possible. But enough talking, let's start the Viva. All right, perfect. So here's the preview screen. So after granting permissions, the student can test audio, mic, and camera. The camera isn't required unless I'm forced, but it's recommended. There's also an option to try a practice question, but in the interest of time, we will skip that. So let's begin.
Walk me through your main argument/findings in your own words.
Okay, so this is the first question. It's read aloud automatically, as you heard, although that can be turned off in student settings. The student can view the context card and view their assignment. And if ready, they can also skip the remaining prep time and start recording. Just for your information, I do not know a single thing about this assignment, as it is purely AI generated and is not my work, so it's going to be a bit embarrassing. I'd say probably just getting all the data together and making sure everything was formatted correctly. There was a lot of information to go through, so organizing it into the report was, well, that was quite difficult.
Can you talk me through your process for creating Figure 2? What tools did you use to create this?
So I think I used Excel. Yeah, it was Excel. I just put the data in and made a pie chart. It was pretty straightforward. I just selected the data and inserted the chart, really.
That's helpful. What made you choose Excel rather than another option?
So see how it heard my previous response and then adapted the question based on what I had said. All right. Well, I chose Excel because I had experience with it before, and I just kind of had a hunch that it was the right question, the right option to choose. All right. Hi, Jax. Hope you're well. Thank you for the submission. So I just wanted to ask really quick, looking back on this assignment, is there anything you'd approach differently, perhaps, if you were doing it again? Thank you. Hi. Well, I guess I'd spend more time on the analysis section. I'd go into more detail on trends. Maybe I'd check my sources more carefully. So I've just muted the mic, primarily to show this feature. I'm just going to unmute it now. I hope that helps. All right. Viva completed, I must admit. Not my best performance. It would have helped if I had actually done the work myself. Without that, I certainly lack a conceptual understanding of the topic and the assignment. So importantly, here I can actually view my submission. And because perhaps there was a bit of disturbance and I needed to mute my mic, I can write up a bit of clarification comments saying there was a bit of commotion behind me, so I had to mute my mic for a little bit. And this is then sent off to the teacher. This is not really for changing academic content, this is more for clarifying minor issues. All right, so that's all. Now let's log out of the student side and then go back to what the teacher sees. So here I am back on the teacher's side on Moodle, and I actually get a message saying when a student has submitted their Viva. As you can see, I've tested it before. So I can actually open it in Moodle itself and read their transcript. And I can do this by looking at the feedback files. So here, this is where I can export the speech-to-text transcript as a PDF. So here, yeah, I can see basically what I had said. And this is a quick option to just quickly glance over it. As mentioned, saving time is of major importance here. And this is not something that will take you hours to grade, that's for sure. So that's one way of checking. Another way we can review it is actually in VivaEdu itself. So here we can then open this in VivaEdu. So let's first take a look around at what this looks like on the teacher side. So this is the teacher's VivaEdu. We have the classes here, the students, and then the review queue. And also on the left-hand side here, we have the active Vivas and an activity feed. So here we can check out the most recent submission, which was the student submitting. All right, so here we can actually not only read the transcript of the answers from speech to text, but we can also play the student response as well. That's an advantage that this has over the Moodle version. I'd say probably just getting all the data together and making sure everything was formatted correctly. There was a lot of information to go through, so organizing it into the report was, well, that was quite difficult. All the data together, and perfect. So I can also read their submission here as well, in case I want another look. I can provide feedback here on the right-hand side. I can see the questions here on the left. You can see here on the bottom the previous student. I've taken a lot of inspiration from Gradescope on this review process. So here we can see the second question. So I think I used Excel. Yeah, it was Excel. I just put the data in and made a pie chart. So from here, from my perspective, as a teacher, I think that there's no mention of data sources whatsoever. There's no mentions of calculations or design choices. And also with question 1, I forgot to mention, it's very vague. It's focused on process, but it's lacking specific analytic insight. Here on the third question, this is very generic. This can describe any spreadsheet. There's no reference to their actual submission. And for question 4, this is very safe. It's a very non-specific answer. It doesn't really connect to their work at all. Hi. Basically, overall, the evidence suggests that the submission wasn't genuinely produced by the student and was likely AI generated due to their lack of being able to explain their work in this post-verification Viva. It's clear that this student didn't engage deeply with the material or apply analytical reasoning. And so without scalable verification like this, they could certainly continue using AI for future assignments, forming habits which, based on my experience myself, can lead to poor understanding and certainly lower performance in real assessments. So thank you very much for watching. Here I can write an email to the student as well to send it straight to them and choose whether they're verified or not verified. And as you may have guessed, I'm leaning towards not verified. But thank you again for watching. This has been a full demonstration of the VivaEdu verification flow, from creation to student use to instructor review. As mentioned, it works across other LMSs, including Blackboard and Canvas. VivaEdu is still in testing, but it's very close to production ready. But it's not fixed in stone. I'm always open to feedback. If you have any potential ideas of additions or additional modes or removal of features or slight tweaks, I'm always open to feedback. So, please reach out via email or LinkedIn. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you very much.